Following the death of Berea co-ed Opal Sturgell, 18 of Lawrence County, Kentucky, Sunday night on the Berea campus, police here were notified to watch for George Elmore Wells, 20 years old, of Dewey. In other words, Oxshire, Prestonsburg, Kentucky, who is reported missing from Berea. Miss Sturgell died of 3 bullet wounds in the left breast, inflicted by an unidentified assailant, hidden behind shrubbery, as Miss Sturgell and her date, William Anderson, were strolling near the administration building. Wells, who is reported to have had several dates with Miss Sturgell, is wanted for questioning by the Berea police. Police there are inclined toward the theory of a jealous suitor. Although the news of the crime has appeared in all the papers and also radioed, the assailant has not been caught. And this was the story from the August the 20th, 1937 issue of the Floyd County Times. August the 15th, 1937, the issue of the Richmond Daily Register. Berea, Kentucky, August 15th, Opal Sturgell, 18-year-old Berea College student, was shot 3 times and wounded fatally Sunday night at 7:30 o'clock while she was walking across the college campus with William Anderson, 18, of Walnut Grove, Kentucky, a student in the Berea Academy. Miss Sturgell, daughter of Marion L. Sturgell of Hawkville, Lawrence County, died in the Berea College Hospital a short time after the shooting. 3 bullet wounds in the chest caused her death. Berea Chief of Police Earl T. Hayes and Madison County officers today were carrying on a widespread search for George E. Wells, 20, of Oxshire, Kentucky, a student at Berea College, for questioning in connection with the case. Anderson today identified a picture of Wells, who is regarded on the campus as a somewhat eccentric, as Miss Sturgell's assailant. Wells made a clean getaway after the shooting, and Chief Hayes expressed the opinion that he had boarded a passing train or hitchhiked out of town following the shooting. Anderson told the following story to Chief Hayes and newspapermen. Miss Sturgell and I were seated in front of the chapel on the campus about 7:15 last night when Wells appeared. He told Opal he wanted to see her about something and asked me if I objected. Wells was still persistent and said he wanted to converse with her personally. Again, she refused. Well, if it's that way you feel about it, okay, Wells told Opal and walked away. Anderson said that he and Opal remained on the steps in front of the chapel for a few minutes, and during that time, Miss Sturgell said she was afraid of Wells. He had been following me around for a while, she said, and I haven't been able to get rid of him. Anderson said at the time he had not suspected that any ill will existed between Wells and Miss Sturgell. We started walking across the campus, and as we got between Lincoln Hall, the administration building, and the Emory building, which houses the Home Economics Department, Wells suddenly appeared on the scene. He gave me a shove and stepped in between me and Opal. He grabbed her by the shoulder and pressed the pistol against her chest and fired one shot. She grabbed for me and I swung in between her and Wells. I pleaded with him to shoot me and spare her life, but he dashed around in front of her and fired two more shots. Opal slumped down in the sidewalk and Wells stood there looking at me. He gave the impression he was about to raise the gun and fire at me, and I lunged at him. As I did so, he turned and ran off into the darkness. I called for help. Charles Hale, Robert Harold Rosenbaum, and Arthur Troll, students at the college, came running up almost immediately. Two of them ran out to the Dixie Highway and hailed a passing automobile. We put her in the machine and took her to the hospital, where she died a short time later. They searched Wells' rooms and found poetry he had written entitled "To a Lady." They said, however, there was nothing in the room that might shed any light upon the shooting. The slaying occurred 2 weeks after the close of the summer school term, and while some 200 students were preparing for the fall term, Dr. William J. Hutchins, president, and George Kavanaugh, business manager of the college, and Dean T. A. Hendricks, all were of the city, could not be reached for statements. The next day's paper said, "The quiet-mannered, wavy-haired Wells, whose home is in Oxford in Floyd County, is a former suitor of Miss Sturgell. He was identified as the slayer by Anderson, Miss Sturgell's companion. Chief Hayes revealed Miss Sturgell's sister, Miss Ruby Sturgell, now a schoolteacher, had told college authorities last year that Opal had been threatened by Wells because she had refused to marry him. Glenn Sturgell, brother of the slain girl, said Wells had sought her consent to marry him since they were in high school together at Oxford 5 years ago, before the Sturgells moved to Lawrence County. The October 8th paper told that Wells was indicted by the grand jury in Madison County. However, he was never found, and the case remains unsolved even today." Another newspaper account, co-ed slain on campus, rejected suitor sought for killing of Opal Sturgell at Berea, Kentucky, August the 16th. A rejected suitor of Miss Opal Sturgell was hunted by authorities today in their investigation of the death of Berea College co-ed who died at the hands of an unidentified assailant on the college campus. Miss Sturgell, daughter of Marion Sturgell of Hawkville, Kentucky, was shot 3 times in the breast, one bullet piercing her heart. She was walking across the campus with William Anderson, 19, of Rockcastle County, a student. When the shot was fired from the ambush, Anderson told police, the chief, E.T. Hayes, that someone from behind the bushes on the campus pushed me to one side and started shooting at Opal. Anderson gave police the name of an admirer of Miss Sturgell, stating that earlier in the evening the suspect had tried to persuade the girl to go with him. She refused, Anderson said. After the shooting, the gun wielder ran, Anderson said. Dr. A. F. Cornelius said the girl was dead upon arrival at the college hospital. Another newspaper article, father pleads for son's return in Berea murder. An elderly father issued an appeal today to George E. Wells, missing Berea College senior, to come back home and face the charge that he murdered the pretty 18-year-old co-ed he had wanted to marry. Weeping as he spoke, John H. Wells, Oxford, Kentucky, at the same time expressed doubt that his 20-year-old son was alive. He said he feared the youth had killed himself. "Come back home," the father pleaded, "for if you are guilty of the murder of Opal Sturgell, it will help your chances materially if you will surrender. If you are not guilty, we will fight it out and prove your innocence. In all events, please come back home. We are for you." Wells said the boy must have been deranged if he was the person who fired from ambush the shots that killed Miss Sturgell as she strode with William Anderson, 18, a Berea Academy student, on the college campus Sunday night. Wells maintained, however, that he was strongly doubtful that George fired the fatal shots. "I never knew he had a pistol, and I don't know where he got one if he did the shooting the other night," he said. He planned to go home and await word from George. Meanwhile, Police Chief Earl T. Hayes, with whom George's father conferred, said he had received a tip where he believed would lead to the early capture of the slayer. He declined to elaborate. Haynes said that when and if young Wells is arrested, "I'm going to take him to the jail at Richmond for safekeeping. I received a tip by telephone yesterday warning me not to bring him here." From the college's president, Dr. William J. Hutchins, came a statement that while the college is taking no active part in the prosecution of any particular person, it is devoting every effort in cooperation with the police to the apprehension of the murderer of Opal Sturgell. Hutchins pointed out there is no legal proof against Wells, named in a murder warrant sworn to by M. L. Sturgell, well-to-do farmer, father of the slain girl, and declared for the reason that the college's activities are not aimed at any one man. Meanwhile, the slain girl's parents, at their rural home on Cherokee Creek near Hawkville in Lawrence County, made plans to bury her tomorrow after funeral services at the home at 2 p.m. Mr. and Mrs. Sturgell, accompanied by Anderson, arrived home with the body early this morning. From the Louisville Courier-Journal. Co-ed is shot to death on campus at Berea. Jealous student sought. 3 bullets from ambush kill girl, 18. Shot from ambush while she and her Sunday night date strolled through the Berea College campus. Miss Opal Sturgell, 18, a sophomore at the school, died at 8 p.m. tonight without naming her murderer. Police announced they are seeking George E. Wells, 20, also a Berea College student. They asked aid from the Richmond and Lexington police departments when Wells could not be located at the school. Police said Wells was a jealous suitor. Their announcement came on the heels of a story told by William Anderson, also a student, who was with Miss Sturgell when 3 bullets from a small caliber pistol entered her chest. Anderson said a man rose from the shrubbery surrounding the college administration building and opened fire on the attractive co-ed. He said that Wells threatened the girl while she and Anderson were together during the afternoon. Chief of Police Earl T. Hayes, with his full force of 3 other officers, failed to find Wells at his quarters and began a patrol of all roads leading from this small college town. Anderson, with several hastily sworn deputies, joined officers in their search for Wells. Officers at Prestonsburg, Kentucky, nearest town of any size to Wells's home at Tiny Oxshire, were also enlisted to keep a lookout for the student. Berea officers said Anderson blamed the slaying on Wells' jealousy. Anderson told them, they said, that when he and the girls met, Wells threatened to kill her. The gun, which was not found, was reported to be one with a small bore, either a .32 or a .25 caliber revolver. Anderson was not struck by any of the slugs. The slain girl, her companion, and Wells were described as working students at the school. All students are required to work at least 2 hours each day during the school year. After the summer session, which ended a week ago, about 200 members of the student body work at the institution, getting ready for the fall semester. Berea, steeped in a religious atmosphere, is a non-sectarian institution. One of the regulations at the school enforced on academy and college students alike forbids women students to wear silk stockings. Girl students at the academy during the regular term also are required to wear only the regular school uniforms. During the summer, this rule is not enforced. Both Dr. William J. Hutchins, president of the school, and Dean T. A. Hendricks were out of town when the shooting occurred. The FBI bulletin reads as follows: unlawful flight to avoid prosecution, murder. Since November the 10th, 1937, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has sought the apprehension of George Elmo Wells of Oxshire, Kentucky, for fleeing from the state of Kentucky, where he is wanted for the crime of murder. The FBI has made a nationwide investigation, carrying out leads from Florida to California, but to date no definite information has been developed as to the whereabouts of this fugitive. Opal Sturgell, an 18-year-old co-ed at Berea College, Berea, Kentucky, who allegedly was Wells' sweetheart, was shot and killed in cold blood on August the 15th, 1937, as she strode the college campus at about 7:30 p.m. with William Anderson, a Berea Academy student. According to information developed, Miss Sturgill was strolling arm in arm with Anderson when suddenly a man, later identified by Anderson as George Elmo Wells, stepped from behind some bushes and shot the girl 3 times. This occurred only a short period of time after Wells had allegedly threatened Miss Wells for refusing to talk to him privately. The victim had spurned Wells' attention just prior to the shooting, although they allegedly had been sweethearts for some time, and he was known to be very jealous of her affections. George Elmo Wells was born in Floyd County, Kentucky, January the 16th, 1915, in the mountainous area of eastern Kentucky, the son of Mr. and Mrs. James H. Well of Oxshire, Kentucky. He was reared near a coal mining camp and attended grammar school and high school at Oxford, Kentucky. He was considered an outstanding student in high school. After finishing high school, he entered Berea College at Berea, Kentucky, in the fall of 1933. It was found during the course of the investigation that while attending this college, Wells was a member of a church, a fraternity, a life service club, and during the first years of college was a member of the football squad. In 1937, his senior year in college, he was a member of the International Relations Club and was considered one of the outstanding students at Berea and was well liked by his fellow students. Wells earned his tuition while attending college by binding books at the Berea College printing office. He majored in English, and his life's ambition was to become an English teacher. It can be well surmised that he may even now, under an assumed name, and with possibility, some disguise, to be teaching English at some school in the United States. The parents have made statements. It was their belief that he was dead. It has been rumored, however, that he is living in a cave near the home of his parents, but on different occasions, raids and investigation have failed to disclose his whereabouts near his family in Floyd County, Kentucky. It will be noted that Wells has many relatives in 6 or 8 mountainous counties of eastern Kentucky and West Virginia, but contacts with these relatives as to his whereabouts have proved negative. On October the 8th, 1937, an indictment for murder was returned by a Madison County, Kentucky grand jury against George Elmo Wells. On October the 12th, 1937, a bench warrant was issued for his arrest, and his warrant was returned on October the 25th, 1937, by Sheriff Madison County, Kentucky, marked unfound. On November the 10th, 1937, a complaint was filed before the United States Commissioner at Berea, Madison County, Kentucky, charging George Elmo Wells with unlawfully fleeing from the state of Kentucky with the intent to avoid prosecution for the crime of murder. The warrant was non-ested on November the 12th, 1937 by United States Marshal, Eastern District of Kentucky. George Wells's age today would have been 111 years old. News of the tragedy was relayed to the girls' parents at their home near Hawkville, 6 miles from Blaine and 26 miles from Louisa, shortly after midnight Sunday, and they left immediately by motor for Berea. Mr. Sturgell, after arriving at Berea, swore to the warrant naming Wells. They returned with their daughter's body early Tuesday morning, passing through Louisa about 2 a.m. Persons who attended the funeral, which was conducted from the Sturgell home at Hawkville Wednesday afternoon, told the news that the attendance was the largest they have ever seen at a rural funeral in this county. The Reverend Dr. Miller of Berea preached the funeral sermon. Reverend Arthur Morris of Adams gave the scripture reading, and Reverend Martin Berry of Cherokee offered prayers. A Mr. Honeycutt of Berea, brother-in-law of the accused slayer, attended the rites, and he made a touching talk to those attending. He expressed how deeply the tragedy had grieved the family of Wells, and how it had hurt the aged father of the Wells boy. Young Anderson, the companion of Miss Sturgell at the time she was shot, and other members of his family attended the funeral. Also, a group of Berea College students, classmates of the deceased, attended the rites. Interment was made in the family cemetery on the Sturgell farm near Hawkville. John H. Wells of Oxford, father of the accused George E. Wells, expressed doubt that his son was alive. Weeping as he spoke, he said he feared his son had done something to himself. R. L. Spaulding of Oxford, George's old schoolmaster who went to Berea with the father and brothers, said George had always been a good student and a good boy. He said he hoped George would heed his father's plea and return. The elder Wells said he would go home and await word from George. Miss Sturgell was graduated in May 1936 from Blaine High School with highest honors of her class. She was valedictorian of the class and was termed one of the most outstanding graduates in the county that year by the Big Sandy News in a feature story carried with her picture on the front page. Residing at Hawkville, she boarded at Blaine a part of the 3 years she attended Blaine High School and walked or rode horseback to and from the home the remainder of the time. At Blaine, she was president of the Dramatic Club, a member of the Student Council, and secretary of the senior class. Shortly after graduating, she left for Berea to major in home economics. She attended high school at Oxford, Floyd County, her freshman year, residing with an aunt while there. It was at Oxford, in his hometown, that she met Wells. This week at Berea, Chief of Police Hayes revealed that Miss Ruby Sturgell, a sister of the slain girl, had told college authorities last year that Opal had been threatened by Wells because she had refused to marry him. Miss Ruby Sturgell attended Berea College with her sister during the first summer term. She returned home a few weeks ago to assume a teaching position in the rural school at ORR, this county. Wells at Berea worked as a bookbinder in the college printing shop. Miss Sturgell worked in the bureau where jobs are assigned to students. Wells graduated from Prestonsburg High School in 1932. His family is prominent in that section, and as a student in the high school, Wells served as president of the High Y Boys Club at Berea. Miss Sturgell was a member of the Alpha Alpha Pi Literary Society, the YMCA, the Harmonica Society, and sang in the chapel choir.